Welcome back, guys, to No Solutions. In this video, I'm going to show you guys some of the built-in delegates in C# using a WinForms project. So let's pop over to Visual Studio 2022 and create a brand new project. Make sure that the project type is WinForms app. Click Next. Doesn't matter what the name is. I'm just going to leave the default. And I'm using .NET 6 for this. Click Create to create the new project. And when the project loads, you're going to be presented with a form designer for Form 1. And if you run this application right now, you should get an empty window, this is what we're getting. Okay, cool. All right, so if you don't see this toolbox on the left side, put your mouse over Toolbox and then click this little pin button so you can see it all the time. And what we're gonna do here, we're gonna be working with the button. So click button, drag it over to the surface area of the form to create your first button. And then you could either go to the property window like this, right? Or you could just click your button and then hit F4 on your keyboard and it'll open up the property window and show you the properties available for this button. So I'm gonna rename this button. I'm gonna say show message, right? I'm just gonna make it a little bit big. And I'm gonna change the name to show message. If you wanna subscribe to the click event of this button, how do you do that? There's a couple of ways you can do this. First way is you could just double click on the button like this, and Visual Studio will automatically hook the click event and create a method, which you see here. This button show message underscore click is a method. It hooks into the click event. How do you know that it's hooking the click event into this method? Very easy. If you go into the Solution Explorer, find your form1.c# file, you'll see you have another file underneath it if you expand it called form1.designer.cs. The form1.designer.cs is code that's auto-generated by Visual Studio when you're manipulating the design surface. So if you double click on that, and you can pull up the Designer C# code, and then if you scroll down and you expand this region called WinForms Designer Generated Code, and you scroll down, you will see the initialize component method essentially contains initialization code, right? So for the button that we created called show message, you'll see here that it's setting the text property to show message because we changed that, right? And it's setting the name to button BTN show message. It's also subscribing to the button show message click event. Let me minimize the toolbox so you can see more of the code. And it's using it's plus equal operator to hook a new event handler. The event handler is a delegate, and it's passing in the show message underscore click method. Now, you could do this 100% manually. So I'm actually going to do this manually. I'm going to delete this line. By the way, you're typically not supposed to touch the designer code unless you know what you're doing. Because if you mess up the designer code, your form designer won't load. So I'm just going to save that. And now let me just pin the form and the design and the designer code as well. So we have everything here nice and easy to see. Okay, so now if I click on this show message button, I hit F4 on my keyboard, I go into the property window. Another way to subscribe to events for this button is to go click on this little thunderbolt or lightning icon, and you'll see a full list of events that are available. And in here, you'll see click is one of the events that's available. If you double click on the right side of the click event here, it's the equivalent of double clicking on the button. Since button show underscore click method already existed in our form1.cs file, it appended an underscore 1 as you can see here. But if I delete this, save, go back. So this is what I was talking about. You see how the form designer, the button's gone. And if this happens to you, this is happening because you have an error. And you can see here, the problem is that we're subscribing the show message click event to a method called btn show message underscore click underscore 1. But WinForms cannot find that method anywhere. That's because we deleted it from the form1.cs file just now, right? If I undo this and save, now I can go back into the form designer, it should work. Let me just compile. It's glitching, so let me just reopen the form. It has to reload. So there we go, we're back to normal. Okay, so I do want to delete those methods though. So I'm going to delete those methods, and then I have to make sure I go into the form1 designer.cs file, and I have to also delete the click event hooking line. So I'm going to save that. I should be able to get into my form. I should be able to run it. It's not going to do anything right now when I click it. Okay, so let's go into the form1 C# file. What we're going to do here is in the constructor of the form1, right after the initialize component method, we're going to subscribe to the button, the show message button click event. So it's btn show message dot click, and the way you hook a method into a click event, you have to use the plus equals operator. So you're going to say plus equals like this. There's a short form. You could just pass in the method name. and Visual Studio automatically hooks the event to your method, and it auto generates the method for you with the correct method signature that matches whatever the delegate is that's attached to the click event. But we're not going to do it this way, because I just want to show what this is actually really doing. So we're going to create a new event handler. Event handler is the actual built-in delegate that's required by the click event. And the parameter for the delegate is a method name that matches the signature described by the event handler delegate. So I'm just going to create, I'm going to call one called btn show message underscore click. Actually, just click like that. Right now it's giving me an error because that method doesn't exist yet. So I'm just going to copy that and I'm going to create this method. So we're going to say void btn show message click. And this event handler requires, if I click on the event handler and I hit F12, you can see what the delegate looks like. The delegate definition returns void, and it takes two parameters. One is an object, and another one is an event arc. So I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to put that in my method because that's required. Now, the squiggly lines in the click event subscription or bind, it's no longer warning me. And actually, if I build the application, it'll build successfully. So let me just put a message box in here. And we're going to say .show, and we're going to say hello world, just to prove that the click event now is working. And I'm going to hit run the application. And now when I click show message, I get this little message box that says hello world. I'm going to head and stop the project. So what I'm trying to show here or demonstrate is that there are delegates throughout the entire .NET framework, and the events that are already built into .NET all use delegates. And one of the interesting things is if you wanted, you could actually bind more than one method to an event. So for example, let me just copy and paste this line. And now I'm going to also copy and paste this method. We're going to create two methods, right? This is going to be the button show click 2, and this is the button show click 1. And then these lines here where I'm binding, I'm going to change the first one to 1 and the first one to 2. So now when I have two lines like this second line isn't going to override the first one. What it's going to do is just going to add, when this click event triggers, it's actually going to call click 1 and it's going to call click 2 sequentially. And so to do this, I'm going to say show message 1, and in the second one, I'm going to say show message 2. Now I'm going to run this, and when I click this button, what we should get is two message boxes in the order that they were subscribed. So since I subscribed show message 1 first, we should see this message, show message 1 first. And then afterwards, we should see show message 2. Let's try it. I'm going to click show message, and we get show message 1 as a pop-up, and then we get show message 2. If I reverse these and I run it, now we should see the reverse. Show message 2 triggers first, and then show message 1 method triggers second, because it's all dependent upon which methods are bound to the click event first. It executes them in order. Another thing is when you add a method to an event, you can actually unhook that method from the event. And to do that, I'm just going to save this. I'm going to go back into the designer. I'm going to add a new button. And I'm just going to name this unhook method 1. In the code of this button, let me just copy the line where we're binding the click event to show message click 1, right? I'm going to paste that in here. So to unhook a method from an event, all you have to do, instead of using a plus equal operator, you're going to do a minus equal. This is a way to unhook a delegate from an event. If I run this, right now when I click show message, we're going to get two message boxes, right? If I click unhook method 1, when I click show message now, I should only get one message box. And that's because I unhooked method 1 from the click event. That's it, guys, for this video. I just wanted to show you how to use the built-in delegates and events in a way that would make sense. Hope this helps you out. Please don't forget to subscribe and click the bell icon at the bottom. Thanks for watching. Bye.